Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Jake's Take with Jacob Eliashar podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Eliashar, and I am the chief content producer and writer of the pop culture and entertainment website known as Jake's Take. This is episode 15 of my podcast, and I have a very great guest for my podcast today. He's a fitness entrepreneur, he is a CrossFitter, and he is a rising star in the fitness entrepreneurship world. Please give it up to my friend, Jeff Thornton.
Hey, Jacob, my man. Appreciate you having me on, brother.
You are so welcome, You're so welcome, Jeff. So just to let the audience know, we've known each other through Instagram.
That's correct. Yeah, and we were just having the discussion off camera, saying sort of like who came first, the chicken or the egg, who followed who first, and we didn't establish that. I'll say I probably followed you first with all of your content that you have out there, especially from the podcasting space and everything that you've been doing with all the celebs you talk to, man. So I appreciate you having me on and just reaching out and connecting with me on Instagram, dude. It's been awesome.
You're so welcome, Jeff. And what I want to let my readers know is I pick on my guests based on if they're rising influencers, who will make an impact. And what I've seen from your feed, my friend, you're in the right direction.
Oh, thanks so much, but I really appreciate that, man. It's definitely humbling and nice to hear that feedback. As being a content, like putting out content as a creator, sometimes you hope that the message is reaching the intended audience and it comes across in the right way. So, yeah, that means a lot, man. I really appreciate the kind words, brother.
You're so welcome. So, alrighty. So, Jeff, you are known for interested in fitness. That's what I've noticed. And so, when did you get into fitness, and how did that passion evolve to the desire of pursuing a career in the industry?
Absolutely. That's a great question. I've been a lifelong athlete since I was a kid, so football is in my entire family background. That's what we grew up just watching, participating in. And I just did a couple of sports growing up. It was street hockey, because I'm from the southwest of New Mexico, so we didn't have ice hockey like they do in the east. So I did street hockey, and then eventually going into my middle school years, really took on football. So through middle school all the way through college, I played college football. And then from there, I sort of found the passion, I would guess you would say, for the fitness industry. So if I just were to rewind a little bit, back in high school, my last game of my senior year in high school, I blew out my knee, so completely tore my ACL, both meniscus and my left knee. And then going into my freshman year of college, I went from 220 pounds or 215 pounds in high school to 260 pounds in college. So I became extremely overweight just because I was eating like an athlete still, but I wasn't performing like an athlete. I wasn't doing the workouts and really wasn't consistent, to be honest with you. And so during my sophomore year, my brother and my sister-in-law, they lived in the same city I did when I went to school, which is Las Vegas, New Mexico, where I attended New Mexico Highlands University. And they had this program. Do you remember when that the workout program P90X came out around 2000?
Yes, I remember Bruno. I see that song, or remember the song from Bruno Mars about the lazy song. It's like P90X.
Yeah, exactly right. So it was, I would say, November 2007. I went to my brother's house and they said, "Hey, we got this new P90X program," and of course, the claims you make, you can get abs in 3 months. I'm like, okay, we'll see what happens. Like, try it and see what goes. And at that time, I was trying to get ready for what's known as spring ball for football, and I was extremely out of shape, and then just wanted to come in a lot healthier because the prior season I didn't perform too well. So I just jumped on that program in mid-November before Thanksgiving, and then followed that track. And then that's when I first initially got that seed of inspiration of like seeing the progress I made within that fitness space, because being an athlete and being like a fitness professional was completely two different worlds for me. So that's where I got the initial seed of like inspiration to jump into fitness. And then it carried on after I got out of football, where I went into bodybuilding, then CrossFit, and now just a guy just staying in shape and just pursuing the passion in this space and just trying to learn as much as I can from top minds. So that's how it all started for me.
Awesome, and especially CrossFit, because before I moved to New York, I was active with CrossFit 913, which is known as Kansas Athletic Club. Shout out to all of them.
Okay,
and they're still my gym family. The thing that I've did you wanted to train for games, or did like I did it to get in shape? But like for other people, we all know that were you trying to go and take on Rich Froning at the games?
Oh man, that's when I was doing bodybuilding. I lived in Philadelphia at the time, and I saw CrossFit on the screen. I've always had the competitive mindset because I competed in bodybuilding, and during that time I was still doing bodybuilding when I lived in Philadelphia in 2013. And I saw him on the screen. I was like, I could do that. Like, I could see myself competing against a Rich Froning or any of these top athletes. And you have to think, like, CrossFit was still sort of in its infancy at that time. But then I, eventually moved out to Arizona and got tired of bodybuilding. It was just one of those things that I wasn't competing anymore and sort of just got tired of the same routine. And I found a CrossFit gym out here in Scottsdale. And then I just dropped in, hit up the owner and said, hey, I want to check out the gym and see what we have. And then once I finally got into the initial beginning trials of it, I saw how difficult it was to be one of those top level athletes. So it went from wanting to be this competitor on a big stage to just bettering myself and improving every day in that movement. So I would just use people in the gym as competition, and they go to local competitions and compete, but definitely saw early on that I wasn't at that level of a competitor status, but just enjoyed the sport of it and just staying in shape for me.
For me, I also have to say with my CrossFit, I cannot do competing because I can think my friends Brady, TJ, and Anthony, who were my main coaches, the time said I was frustrated being always last all the time, and unfortunately I let my media role models, who are basic like Howard Stern and Christina Aguilera, Simon Cowell, Wendy Williams, who are all Sir Elton John, all of them who are very legendary with their egos and their diva-like ways. And they were not very happy with me.
Oh, no?
That.
Why is that?
Because I was saying, haram, or dropping weight, doing drama stuff, and they're I can imagine, it's still one of my most embarrassing parts of my life, but I learned from my ways, and I learned it's just myself.
I'm with you. Are you still doing CrossFit currently?
I can't because CrossFit gyms in New York City are expensive.
No kidding. Okay.
But however, I am doing you see on my Instagram I go to Blink Fitness at least 4 times a week. Free weights on Sundays and then Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Treadmill, elliptical, treadmill.
Nice. That's really cool. What got you into the fitness space? What was your initial start of getting into fitness, into this entire culture and industry?
Well, I've always wanted to be I always was very heavy set.
Okay.
So, I've always wanted to get myself in shape. And when I came back home from college, I was going to the Jewish Community Center in Kansas City. And I was looking for something so I could at least get in shape. And then Brady Mora, before he started CrossFit 913, he got into, he was doing he started up Meshuggah CrossFit at the Jewish Community Center. I went to his classes, spent a whole year. That's how I met TJ. That's how I met Anthony. Then they started their own brand, and then I left Meshuggah to go over to CrossFit 913, now Kansas Athletic Club. Uh-huh. And I just wanted to get into shape, and I needed some guidance. And they've become over time, I've been to at least 2 out of 3 weddings. So the last one I'm waiting on is Anthony.
Oh, okay. That's
no
what
pressure,
I love to
Anthony.
That's what I love to hear. But I think maybe you agree. The cool thing about the CrossFit community is how accepting and that community is to push you forward, because we all go in there with our individual goals, whether it be health or competing, and just having that inspiration from others in that community it's a very cool push. I found. Did you find that same experience in your journey?
Absolutely, and I miss it too. I miss it, and believe me, every time I go back to Kansas City, I make sure to visit 913 and do a workout with them, even though it's not at the same intensity. But when I'm at a Blink, in all honesty, it's everyone to themselves.
Head down in a sense, the bodybuilding type of environment.
Yeah, and I miss the community aspect of it.
Yeah, I can understand that. You'll definitely get back into it. Just like you said, it takes time for sure.
Alrighty, so let's move on from CrossFit to talk about mentors.
Okay, absolutely.
So who are your fitness and entrepreneurship mentors, and how do they stand out?
Oh, wow. That's a really good question. In the fitness space for entrepreneurship, oh man. Well, that's a really good question, Jacob. I didn't even think about it within that granularity. That's really cool. I like that question a lot. It made me think. So I initially, when I first started, I'll say within the bodybuilding space, the guy I find out, well, I see he's not a fitness personality per se, but it was Tom Bilyeu was when I first started, when he started his Quest Nutrition company with the protein bars. So when I was in Los Alamos at that time, he created more of like a high protein, at that time it was a high protein, low fat protein bar. And the way he was evolving and, growing the company with the marketing and, the people and lives they were affecting, that one was like high on my list as far as like within the nutrition, health, and fitness space. And come to find out, like just having him on when I had my podcast, Feed Me, Fuel Me, he said he's not a fitness guy, that he absolutely hates fitness as far as working out, but he saw that the shift that he wanted to make in that community for especially his mom and his sister was to help them lose weight and overcome morbidly obese status. And so I thought that was just a really cool vision to have. So that was one of the guys that I really looked up to in that space. And just thinking off the top of my head now, the second guy I really look up to in the fitness space is, how did I just go blank on his name? The Extreme Weight Loss. You familiar with the show?
Yes.
Why did I just lose his name?
He's friends with my mutual friend Drew Manning. I believe Chris Powell.
Chris Powell, thank you. I don't know why I went back.
We cannot forget about them.
Yes, exactly. So Chris Powell, I would say just meeting him in person and knowing him and having him as a friend and seeing how genuine and caring he is as a person really resonates with me. As I mentioned, he was on my podcast when I was running it a few years ago, or last year is when I shut it down, but we ran it for 3 years, and he was one of the guests I had last year. And I first discovered him when he was doing that extreme weight loss on ABC, and so he would take extreme cases where people were like morbidly obese, like 400 pounds, and he would just go to their home and just guide them through the process over a year, 2-year period, and help them go on their transformation journey and just have this like a profound impact on their life from there. So that would definitely be a guy that I would see as like a mentor, not only for what he does for people, but just how he's changing and creating a massive impact in the world and like both mentally and physically on individuals. And I just think that's what's so powerful in the space of fitness, where you're bridging these gaps between these individuals. We're all coming in with different body types and mindsets and all of this, and just creating a comfort zone to where everybody is accepting of one another. So instead of having that mindset where you may hear every year, oh, it's New Year's, here comes the New Year's crowd, and it's like that connotation of that negativity and shifting that narrative to be positive to where, man, it's great to have all these people coming in from New Year's to achieve their resolutions or goals. How can I be of service to help them get to where they want to go, because they're at a beginning journey where we all have been, and let's help facilitate their journey as well. So that's what I would say for myself.
Amen. I think that I got to be honest and bluntly honest, like, no offense to Bob Harper, but I think Chris's version of motivation is so much better and more healthier and more emotionally positive than Bob Harper and The Biggest Loser concept.
I would agree, and I would definitely agree with that. And I think it comes from the like you're mentioning, the actual genuine caring of other individuals. Like, I'm not saying Bob Harper doesn't care about other people, because I know he does, but it's the way Chris does thing, like the way he communicates with that individual. It's not just about the weight loss, the goal, having muscle. It's about the deeper connection with that individual, and I think that's what's really impactful about what he's been able to, do with his clients and with his business. Both him and Heidi Powell, like, they're just incredible people, I would say. So, yeah, thank you for that question. I didn't even think about it to that level of depth, but yeah, you made me think pretty deep on that one.
You're welcome. So, alrighty, so I have another question that may throw you off, but I apologize.
No, not at all.
As you and I know, there are millions of fitness entrepreneurs across the United States. Mm-hmm. And what are some of the factors that make you stand out?
Wow, that's really, really good. Let's see. And that's one of those discovery questions that I've been really trying to hone in on, especially with